As you all know, Outcome Memories version 0.2 released 3 new maps, being the new remake of Hills. We have Hide and Seek Act 1 and Hide and Seek Act 2. And after a couple of weeks of playing, let's just say they're kind of very bad maps when you really think about it. In this video, we're going to be going through how they're flawed and any way to actually fix the maps. Because in my opinion, they are good maps in the actual visual design, but inside of fundamentals, it is not that great. But anyways, before we begin, I want to say make sure to like and subscribe so you can get more content like this. But anyways, let's start off with the video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Green Hills redesign. As you know, Green Hills before was like the smallest map tied with Not Perfect. But with a redesign, it is absolutely huge now, having water sections, super high sections, and so much more. Now, one of the biggest issues you start to come in with this map is how survivor-sided it is, in my opinion. The map is so open that many killers, for example, like 2011X, straight up can always be seen when they're coming for you, or be knocked into the water. As you all know, there's a waterfall section on the map, where you're able to basically knock the EXE or survivors who are playing as the EXE into the water. Now, this area is a major issue, since by the time they get back up, you can just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And because of how large the water section actually is and how the map is designed, there's a high chance that as Colossus or Tailsdoll, you straight up just can't get high enough because of the walls. And this is not to mention the amount of issues with the invisible walls. I don't have any clips, but I swear, all the time, you almost always be clipping on the walls, or you get stuck inside of an area where the EXE can pick you up because you can't move. And like I said, visual designs, this map is absolutely amazing. But because of these, it is a very complicated map to play as a killer, and I rarely see EXE wins on this map. Even when it gets to last man standing, because of how large the map is, if you're playing against a Sonic, for example, as soon as he runs, you're done for. If you're playing, for example, 2011X and you don't have your flight, Tails can easily fly across the map, is so much more of any other characters. And again, this is also not only a problem for EXEs, but for survivors. When you're playing on a map of this size, it's so hard to actually find other survivors. For example, this might be similar to Hill Gym when it first came out, for a fact that there's so many different areas up and down that when you try to find other survivors it's difficult. But since this map is like 2 times the size and it isn't corridors, it's even more difficult. Not to mention the fact that the entire map has gray everywhere and is foggy. I mean, believe me, the fact that I can get down within 2 seconds from a Colossus playing Blaze is crazy while my team's across the map. And as the devs have stated about this map, the map was originally meant to be larger than it already was, but it was downsized. But all of these things are just about Green Hills, and honestly, it's a really good map, but it just needs to be shrunken down or have better visuals. That's honestly the easiest way to fix it, and probably one of the ones where it doesn't have to have a full map redesign. Now, when it comes to hitboxes, like I was saying earlier, I have to say that Hide and Seek Act 1 or Angel Island is a menace for this. Can you tell me why on a tiny bridge with water on each side that I can just get stuck running into an invisible wall? I mean, it is mad. And overall, because of the burn effects, one of the main issues you have with that map is the amount of lag it produces. I have a pretty good computer, but when I'm running normally around 160 FPS, when I get onto the map, I'm barely running 60. Believe me, if you're playing on mobile, anything else, even console, your console is going to blow up on you. I mean, even before, I was running at 20 frames on the Xbox One. We are running on 2 now. But also for staying in the map design, I also love the giant gem. It's really good, the Master Emerald. And the overall design is good, but very confusing. When I say confusing, it's the fact that inside the temple, you might think that you're in a certain area. Because of how the temple is designed with the amount of jump pads, there's a high chance you corner yourself and get absolutely deleted by the EXE. Even though the map has been fixed where you're able to jump over a middle bridge, it is still a pretty complicated map to actually fully understand. I mean, because of all the jank physics, sometimes your character can jump up and escape, other times it can't. It's really random. And when we get to the pedestal where the Master Emerald stands, that's where the biggest issue plays in. Because of how it's designed for staircase, sometimes you get absolutely flung when you hit by the Colossus, or the fact that the back area is open with no invisible walls means that you can just sit back there and the EXE has a high chance of not finding you. Or for a matter of fact that if you are back there and the EXE does find you, it is such an awkward position trying to escape cave, and for the fact that you can easily run into walls is really complicated. But then when you actually get to escaping the map, I think I've only seen 2 spawns, which I believe there's only 2 spawns for the ring. But when you go up to the upper area, there's like one way to get up there. So many areas inside of this map seem like you can just run into one spot and then you're just done for. But honestly, one of the simplest ways in my opinion to fix this map has got to be reduce the amount of flames, or maybe change how the flames work. When I say this, it's definitely because of the lag, and that's really difficult. Because for example, one time I was fighting a Colossus inside of a match, and they were so laggy, they couldn't hit us. I mean, quite literally, they would punch and deal no damage. And when I say no damage, I mean bro was shadow boxing his inner demons, and he was a demon. And the second thing is honestly to fix the invisible walls, because although the map looks really good of how it's designed, there's so many parts that are janky where you think you can actually run, but you just get slammed into an invisible wall. Or the path might look big enough, and there's a high chance you slam into a visible wall because it's just over a bit, and that's how I actually died during one of my last man standings. So I never thought I would say on a map, but nerfing the invisible walls is definitely the way to go. And they better not allow Colossus to climb those, because if that ever comes for an update, we are all screwed. Now, for the third map, Mystic Cave, I have to say that this is probably the best map they've created to date. I honestly love it, even though you can't really hear the background music, or if there even isn't, there's not really much to talk about this, but there's one big issue. The biggest issue is if you're playing someone like 2011X or Colossus, you are cooked on this map. And what I mean by cooked, I mean sauteed, fried, burnt. Gordon Ramsay burnt down the kitchen if you're playing the EXE. Tripwire, on the other hand, is a really good killer on the map because you just spam mines everywhere. I mean, you do it on every map. Because of the close quarters, that's a different story. But for these two, because of all the high spots and very little areas that Colossus can actually climb, the fact that so many survivors can knock them back just launches them and screws them over. Even though Colossus has the Unstoppable perk, is what I think we're calling it, the fact that he can't really get knocked back, if you have a Blazer on your team, she can just throw her spear and launch you all the way to oblivion. And because of how the cave is designed, you can see how the rock walls are really rocky and it is really difficult for Colossus to climb on. Even if you can climb on the areas that are flat or use the jump pads as Colossus, you can just easily get knocked off again and again, and you can make very little progress. Or if you use your long range lunge moves or dash, straight up just fall off the map. Then for 2011X it's 2011X. If he teleports, he's screwed because he just gets knocked off. If he uses invisibility, he's screwed because he gets knocked off. There is no point in playing 2011X on this map, I'm telling you. And not to mention, I'm not sure if it's fixed as I'm saying this, but they need to fix the skybox most importantly. What I mean by the skybox is definitely an area above the map that is an invisible wall where survivors can't get above. Because when you're playing someone as Silver or Tails, you can fly into the weirdest corners and just hide. And when I mean just hide, I mean quite literally, you are so high above the normal area that my teammates most of the time can't even see me. And it's so dark that I can't even see myself. So it's mostly like you're playing inside of the dark and you're like Batman. Or because of the water area, if you just put your head down, it is very difficult to see you inside the water. Unless if you're playing Colossus or Tails doll, it is very difficult as 2011X to see, or if you don't have an indicator actually going. So when it comes to this map, some of the biggest changes that they can actually make is first, fixing the skybox so that the flyers can't just get an insane advantage over almost all of the EXEs. Second one is maybe adding some more areas where the fact that the walls can't actually get knocked off as the EXEs, because when Colossus was still busted, you would still rarely see him actually win on that map. And it kind of makes sense, even though the game is pretty survivor-sided. And for that is probably the easiest way to fix Mystic Cave, but other than that, the map is really good. It's just those parts is what makes it very difficult to play on. But with that was the 3 new maps that I honestly feel like need to be changed inside of Outcome Memories. Of course, they've been actively working on the past 2 weeks, but since I've still been playing them over it recently, I have to say that these big issues have to be fixed. And once they do, they'll probably become a little bit easier to play for both sides, but until then, believe me, people will keep dying on invisible walls. I'm looking at you, Angel Island. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you all liked and enjoyed, and if I don't catch you next video, then I'll catch you in game. Later.